Rock me like a hurricane.
You ask for James Earl Jones, you get James Earl Jones. If you haven't been a regular viewer of the pregame show,
You're lucky.
You probably don't get that reference. But Luds requested that maybe the Eric Cartman voice wasn't as, oomphy, macho as he would prefer for somebody saying, I believe they're going to crush these guys. Something like that. So you got this instead.
You mean me? Or were you expecting him to play
I thought he was going to play it again.
Yeah, no.
Rock me like a hurricane.
Pregame show starts right now. We'll give a warning first. This is the DLLS Stars Podcast Pregame Show. It's the pregame show, not just a podcast, because Craig Ludwig, I'm Owen Newkirk. Ryan Vodder's our producer. We're getting ready for Stars versus Carolina Hurricanes on a rainy night in Dallas, although the rain's kind of abated a bit. Maybe there's a little bit more. We still haven't made the decision, scoot or walk with an umbrella. We'll take that risk after the pregame show. We do actually have a wonderful surprise for everybody joining in. Don't forget to hit that like button to subscribe and check out our new merchandise collection. It's called the Face Off Collection. 2 new t-shirts that are hockey-centric and available right here. And this is the 2 new ones for the Face Off Collection. Dallas hockey shirt, which has a really cool sort of interesting collab look. And then, of course, the Dallas, it's called the Stars tee. Both of those available now. If you are a DLLS Stars fan and a Dallas Stars fan, you need to buy those. Get them right now over on our website, alldls.com. If you're a diehard, you get 20% off. If you're not a diehard, sign up and get one of those for free as your first year of annual subscription. We have another surprise, though, because we have been without one of our teammates for a few games, and he's back. And he's at the AAC right now, I think. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Sam Nesler. Hi, Sam.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
It's like you were trying to make a particularly grand gesture of Logan Stankoven's return to Dallas, and here you are, and it worked.
That's it. Logan Stankoven said, I better be here, so I'm here. That's the way it works, I guess.
So I got to say hi to him very briefly as on his way out to the morning skate today. I was talking with one of my good friends who is assistant coach Jeff Daniels. He was my head coach in Albany in the AHL eons ago. Wonderful guy. Talking to him for a minute. Stank came by. I said hello to him real quick. I had to duck out to go coach a youth soccer game. You got a chance to say hello to him. What was the interaction like? What's Stankoven feeling his first trip back since being traded to Carolina in March as part of the Mikko Rantanen deal?
Yeah, look, he talked about first things first. The adjustment was obviously shocking. We had him on the show to talk about it a little bit. I wrote about it when I first talked to him, I think like the next day after the trade. It was shocking, right? He had been told and heard over and over again he was untouchable. He was one of those untouchable prospects that the Stars were not going to trade. Turns out, though, no one's untouchable when Mikko Rantanen is on the table. So the thing he did talk about was, as much as he had shock and he had, 12 hours to pack and get to Carolina and start playing games right away and go into the playoffs with them, he said the way the room is there and the way the coaching staff is, it just made it easy, right? The guys are similar to what you hear here. It's just super easy to get along with everybody. It's a good, relaxed vibe in the locker room. And Rod Brindamore is, to me, one of the best coaches in the NHL, not just because of what he can do on the ice and the results he gets, but the way he coaches. And watching morning skate today, he spent about 20 minutes with the centers doing face-offs, not just dropping the pucks for a quick, few here and there to warm up. He was spending time going over hand placement, exactly where to go on the dot, things to do when you're on your offside and you get kicked out. And then he spent about 10 minutes alone with Logan Stankoven, who was actually switched to center He played center growing up, but he switched this year. I think he's been centering their second line a lot this year, especially with some of the injuries they've had and some of the stuff going on. So it was just cool to see that dynamic, because I don't know if the adjustment is as easy as it is without Rod Brind'Amour and the way that he coaches this team. But Logan said to me that this is something he's excited for versus nervous about, right? This is not somewhere where he wanted out of Dallas and demanded a trade and fans didn't like him. Fans freaking love this guy, and they are excited to see him. They marked it on their calendar as soon as the schedule came out. He's probably going to get a very warm welcome. I hope he gets a video or at least a standing ovation or something. It's not like he played, 5 years here, but he was a big part of what they thought was their future. And they liked the way he played. They liked how his hustle, and he brings all that to Carolina. And I think it's fitting that he went to Carolina, because that's exactly how they play. North-south, fast hockey, get the puck in the net, and he loves to do that. So it's been an adjustment for him to play center here with Carolina, because he hasn't played in a long time, but he's just really excited for the welcome here. And he was all smiles welcoming some familiar faces here this morning.
Luds, I was talking to Jeff Daniels, their assistant coach, about Stankoven playing in the middle, and he said if there was a player who didn't play with the tenacity that Stankoven plays with and didn't skate the way he does, which is full speed at all times, he might be hard for a winger to graduate and play in the middle. But he thinks because of the way that Stankoven plays and skates, it's actually plays into his strength.
Well, you got to remember what team he's playing for and what coach they're playing for. That's what they are. They're about speed. Although he does have to be in the right area. Now, again, Rod Brind'Amour's system may be different, but a lot of systems, if you're down low in your own zone, if you're a centerman, you're working with the defenseman. So you got to control your feet in those areas for him. But I think Stank has got a high hockey IQ. He can play anywhere you need him to play. And the one thing is, if he is playing down low in the defensive zone, he can catch up to get, join guys in the neutral zone. I have a question for you, Sam.
Ooh.
I'm just curious. Is there a video tribute for Stank?
I have not gotten confirmation of it. I would be shocked if there was not, though. And he didn't comment when I said it, but I think he's deserving of it. He feels like a guy that fans love a lot. And it was one of those, it was a hurtful trade for this organization in terms of, not just the fans, the team didn't want to let him go. If it wasn't Mikko Rantanen, Logan Stankoven's still skating in Victory Green. So I think 100% there will be one.
Yeah, I expect so. And he was there long enough, even though it wasn't like he was a 10-year vet with the team. First, he's actually a second-round pick, but,
Yep.
high second, had a great year. AHL comes up, makes it. I would think they would. Sam, what do you think about the issue? We're going to talk about it here once you're getting your warm-up lines and everything, but injuries are bad for both teams. But it's a lot of teams. It's not just the Stars. It's not just the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
It's going on around the league, and it keeps adding to this. But Stars are missing 4 key players. The Hurricanes are up to 6, including half their blue line.
Yeah, I think I just saw Roman Josi for tomorrow's opponent is out as well. It's going around, but not a lot of teams have it worse than these two right now. And I guess, as Luds would say, it's early, right? It's game 8. So it's early. It's a good time to have it. But you're right. You look at these lineups. Dallas is without. We already looked at their depth without Marchment, without Granlund. Now all of a sudden without Jamie Benn. Now all of a sudden without Matt Duchene. Now you're adding Nils Lundqvist, Oscar Beck. They're without a bunch of key players, and fans get frustrated with some of the lines we've seen, the Sam Steele experiment, but they don't have anybody else, guys. They got 12 forwards, and they're rolling everybody they can. So there's not a lot of options. But then you look across the ice, and man, the blue line over there is just decimated. They're without DeAndre Miller, who Rod Brind'Amour said this morning was the closest to returning in the day-to-day range. But then you got Slavin, who had his big, welcome to the world moment at the Four Nations. You got Gostisbehere's out. They're missing a goalie and Kochetkov. It's stacking up either way. And I'm really interested to see tonight, because Carolina's a great team. They have, unlike Dallas, they've gotten results despite the injuries, right? They haven't had this 4-game skid. They're, I think, 6-2, something like that, and had a great start. The other side of it is the way they play. And Luds just mentioned it. It's a very, not simple, it's the wrong word, but it's a system where you can plug and play. You know exactly what Rod Brind'Amour wants from you. So you might not be the same guy as DeAndre Miller or Jaccob Slavin, but you know what's expected, and you play a simple game. And I think that's what's leading to this Carolina team having less of that injury fatigue than Dallas. Whereas Dallas, guys are trying to play out of their system a little bit. They're trying to play a little bit out of their comfort zone in terms of producing offense, and that puts Dallas in a tough spot a lot of times. And we've seen it. They turn pucks over, or the breakouts get stuck, or they get rush chances against because they're trying to do those things. So I'm interested to see tonight whether Dallas can really simplify. They've already talked about, Glenn Goldson said they're trying to simplify breakouts right now. I expect to see a very simple hockey game from Dallas tonight, because I think they know if they don't play simple, they don't play tic-tac-toe, very, very direct, they might get themselves in trouble, because Carolina is going to play that way, and they're going to be right there ready to pounce. So I'm just interested to see how the different, just blown away injury team. I think Carolina had an e-bug out here at practice this morning, skating with the team. So we are at that level, and luckily it's only game 8 for these two.
All right, Sam. Well, it's good to see you, and we will talk to you again for the post game, as Sean will be here as well. And the band's back together for tonight, Stars and Hurricanes.
Sam's
All
back.
right, boys. Good to be back.
I believe that said Sam's back. Liked it. Okay. There we go. For just a minute, I thought I still heard his audio. It took a minute, but there we go. Let's talk about the injuries for a minute. Quickly, the Stars lines. No changes.
Nothing to change.
Nothing to change.
I mean, you could juggle a couple players here and there,
Here's the forward group. This is the group they had the other night. I think it was fine. I didn't think Ernie Sagan and Blackwell were quite as dynamic as they were the game prior, but they weren't bad, certainly. And boy, Robo and Wyatt looked like they were really going. And of course, Mikko is always a worker. I wasn't worried about that. Those top two lines really have to drive the bus while they're missing Duchesne, obviously, Ben, Oscar Beck, that kind of stuff. Niels Lundqvist is going to be longer.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the guys that are out, and I don't know if Hintz was that great the other night either, you know what I mean? And so
he's a mixed
even
bag
the
sometimes. Guys
that have been in the lineup, they've kind of been in and out. I mean, you've got your steady Eddies, Wyatt's been there, and like you said, Rantanen's been there. I think if he wanted to get a couple lines, I think what he's trying to do is spread it out as much as he can. Otherwise, I'd be taking Tyler and possibly putting him up there. It would have been an easy flip. Just take Sam Steele and put him in the center down there and put Tyler up there if you needed to do that.
We did see that briefly late in the game when they were chasing, right? And obviously the LA game turned into an overtime game, but they had to try to come back in that one. And it's a card he has to play, but I am surprised that he didn't just go, hey, we got 2 scoring lines, we got 2 energy lines, that's how we're going to play.
Yeah. Well, I like the word that you use, chasing, because when you play Carolina, you chase a lot because they play in direct lines. Can you pop our forwards up there one more time, Ryan? And I think what you have to always be aware of is somebody on each one of these lines has to be the responsible guy.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is being high in the offensive zone. So they don't create, because of their speed and the way they exit their zone and how they come at you, you don't want to be caught outnumbered on 3-on-2s and 4-on-2s. The good news is they're missing. I mean, the good news for Dallas is that Carolina's missing some key defensemen, and in particular one. And I know we don't have to talk about those guys, but they're missing a new guy that they got and signed there in K'Andre Miller, and he really added a lot to that group on the back end. So Dallas just has to be aware. Again, when you don't have a lot of bullets in the clip, you got to play a good defensive game. You got to make sure that you're taking care of your own end and you're keeping things to the perimeter and you take advantage of your opportunities. Try not to push too hard to, create them. And next thing you know, you got an outnumbered rush against a team like that.
Take a look at the defense goaltending for the Stars. Jake Oettinger will once again get the start in goal. He is now in net for the 7th time in 8 games so far this season. No changes to the defense. Are you surprised, Luds, at all that they're going with Otter tonight? Because obviously with the back-to-back, you'll expect Casey DeSmith to start tomorrow in Nashville.
You want to get out of this as quick as you can. So if I think Otter may be the best of the two to give you an opportunity to make some big saves if need be, because there may be some things going on around him more than normal because of this team. And he's probably your best opportunity to grab a point or two, try to get this skid over with.
All right, we're going to take a quick ad break. When we come back, we're not really going anywhere, but we do have a bunch of stuff to talk about. We're going to hear from Glenn Gulletson about the Hurricanes. We've got a comparison that Lud's put together that may not be the most flattering for the home team, and we'll get into all that and much more next year on the DLLS Stars Pregame Show.
Let's get some of that merchandise popped up there, Ryan. We got a few shirts we got to talk about again. Owen already went over the first two new ones. And I'm guessing you probably already have one, don't you?
No.
Do you have that green one?
No, I have not gotten those yet.
Well, they are the 2 new ones. So I like the green one is my favorite. I gotta admit
I like that one. I really
do.
do.
The Dallas Stars one is it's a normal one. I'm still trying to figure out what the A is stand for. If that's an A in the word Dallas or if it's just the way it's lined up. Do we have how about Rantanen? Because Rantanen's going to need to have Rantanen will have a big game tonight because of the opponent.
Our boss did say, GM Ben, if enough diehards and non-diehards, if enough people bought some of the new shirts, we'd get one for us. That's sort of how it works.
Let's go.
So if you go back to the initial ones for just a second before we get to Rantanen, if you guys jump on those shirts and start buying them, then maybe we'll have one that we can wear on the show and show why more people should be getting them.
Well, and do we have a little event coming up at Hooters at some point?
We do in December.
I might even buy some of them people that buy the shirts that get us a shirt, a couple beers over
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah,
Incentives.
with Ben's card.
So talk about Rantanen for a couple seconds, and then I'll jump on it.
Well, I was just going to say, Mikko Rantanen, because of the Colorado Carolina thing, and Rantanen's been great. I mean, I think every shift that we see him, and he has been a finisher. I mean, there's another reason to buy that shirt right there. He has been a finisher. He's been a starter. He's been a punisher. I mean, that kind of reminds me of a Punisher, but he could have a finished Punisher one. But I just think that shirt goes along well with everything that Rantanen has brought to this team since the day he got here. And you can tell this year means something. So we got any more? No,
that's good.
That's it?
You're out of time.
We're out of time?
We're way past time. Let's talk about Prize Picks.
Get me going.
This pregame show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Of course, we make decisions all the time, every single day. But on Prize Picks, you can get paid to be right. How about that? So what do? Well, it's very simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats up from 2 to 6 max. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. So Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup, which is a lot of fun because then you don't have as many of those restrictions. Download the Prize Picks apps today and use the code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DLLS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right. A couple of pieces of sound and also a comparison from Luds. So let's start with Tim Kalishaw was in today for the morning news. Leah is covering SMU. I believe they're playing Wake Forest or played them today. I think it was an earlier game. So he asked a question to Gully in the morning availability about the game the other night and their sort of record so far this season. And here's Gully on being 500 might be just about right.
Yeah, well, we're 3-0. We shouldn't have been 3-0. You know, right now we're at 500, and that's pretty indicative of our play. What I did like is our last game that we've cleaned up the areas that we really wanted to make sure that we were we were taking in water. Turnovers in the neutral zone, line rushes against, all that went down drastically in that game. And we've been working on that for a while now, ever since probably 5 or 6 games ago. And that's one of the key indicators of, when you're looking at chances for against, probability of a team going to win, you gotta limit those things.
All right, now, Luds, I have a couple more clips we'll play later about dealing with Carolina, especially line rushes. But you put together a comparison of the two teams because I think that leads really well into some of the things that Gully's going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is all 5-on-5 stuff, as you can see here. But, I mean, look at the ranks of where the two teams are in comparison.
It's stark.
I mean, the goals for, Dallas has had a hard time there. And, again, Carolina, everything gets directed to the net. I think a big factor to all of these stats is because of the offensive zone time. Carolina spends the majority of the game compared to other teams in the offensive zone and the least amount of all the teams in the league in its own end. And so if you're going to have an opportunity to win hockey games, the big key is maybe spend more time at the other end than you do at your end. Shots on goal, they're a team that fires everything at the net. They're at 7th, and look where Dallas is at 29th. And that, I think that has a lot more to do with some missing pieces than not wanting to play a direct game, because I think that's what this club and the coaching staff wants to do. Unblocked shot attempts. I mean, to me, what it says more about Carolina, a team that wants to pay the price a little bit more, and they're willing to do that kind of stuff. The other thing is the rebounds. I mean, they're first in the league, and again, it's only early, but it's 4 of them. But that just tells you not only do they get the pucks to the net, they get bodies to the net. So they're willing to get inside other defensemen in front of the goaltender and get second and third opportunities.
Well, let's hear from Gully now on his thoughts about playing Carolina and what their tendencies are now that you've heard from Lutz.
The typical, their energetic game, lots of man-on-man, lots of hand-to-hand combat. They are, real fast. You look at that Colorado game, real high-energy game. They press you, right? They press you, and you've got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for their forecheck. They've been creating a lot off the rush. One of the top teams off the rush, one of the top forechecking teams. But one of the things over the years is just you need to make sure you're winning the walls and your battles against these guys, and then you can get some chances.
Lud's battling team, they're going to get in your face. Why do you think Gully was talking about how important it is to win your walls?
Because you need pucks out of the zone. I mean, that's the bottom line is because they pinch down, they force you in the offensive zone, and it's about zone time. That's how they create all those zones. They have defensemen that come down the walls, and if you don't win those battles to get them out when you can, and the other side of that is you spend so much time trying to dig pucks out, chasing those guys back down to that end, your own end of the rink. By the time it gets out, and if it doesn't get deep into the other zone, now you're kind of out of gas because now you're rolling around in the neutral zone and may go back in again, and then all of a sudden you got to change. And then when you're changing, you got guys going over the boards, they're getting to the puck, they're breaking out, and then now it just starts that cycle all over again. So I think the wall battles are like that all the time, and not only there, but in the offensive zone. They've got to be able to come out of the offensive zone with the pucks so they can get it back to the middle of the ice and back to the offensive net.
After he gave his answer about Carolina, Robert actually asked Gullitz and Robert Tiffin a question about, is it actually good that the Stars are playing a team like Carolina tonight? Here's what Gully had to say about that.
Yeah, it's very good because, again, you're facing one of the top line rush teams against, and we've been working at keeping them down. I think we had one odd one against the other night, which is good. We'd been averaging over 4 the previous nights. So those things that we put the emphasis on are coming down. So we score in overtime. We're probably looking at that game as a pretty successful game. But it's a results business, so you need to pick up the points. The biggest message for our group tonight is just keep painting the same picture. You've played a good gun, results lag, but keep painting the same picture, rinse and repeat, and just keep going.
The other thing about playing a team like this and having to spend possibly some extra time in your own zone, it's one of the areas that Gully's been working on with the team. They want them to get better at playing in their own zone, and who better than to do that against is a team that spends a lot of time in your zone, to be able to get where you're supposed to be, get to your right spots, get numbers where on the puck, and don't be too spread out through that high danger area that we talk about. We see so many goals that have been, opportunities are coming down in between the circles there. So you're going to have to get right when it comes to defending against this team. And I think in the long run, maybe it's a step to playing the next one and the next one, because you start pulling out things against a team like this. If you're able to do it, this is how we have to play all the time, because the other thing is it takes a little pressure off. When you don't have certain guys in the lineup, it takes pressure off them other 3 or 4 guys that are expected to score goals all the time.
The Stars are trying to get themselves focused, but I think, well, you know what? Before I get into that, I want to talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about the lineup first for Carolina, and then we'll get into something about Jamie Benn. The Hurricanes, Luds, as we were talking about with Sam, are beat up right now. 6 normal roster players are out, including half of their starting defensemen. I wanted to share this because this is from the Hurricanes. They actually posted this as part of their lineup and injury, and it's awful to see them missing Gostisbehere, Miller, and Slavin all in the back end. Those are 3 important pieces. Of course, Miller being a big add, but I had to kind of chuckle because this is the official team website putting timetables, basically what Rod Brindamore said, which is quote unquote out for a while, out for an extended period, which is typical coach speech, not giving you a day-to-day or a week-to-week, and just sort of, weird loose timetables. I thought that was sort of funny. But if you look at the seriousness on the left-hand side, 6 of their roster not available for this game because of the injuries they've suffered earlier.
Yeah, and there's a couple key ones there for me. Obviously, Keandre Miller, as I mentioned before. Yep. I mean, he comes over from New York and signs I think it was an 8-year deal,
Huge
7 or 8 year deal,
yep.
Big deal for him. And he was playing 26 minutes a game. And the other one, obviously Jaccob Slavin. I mean, he is maybe one of the best defensive guys in the league as far as handling top line.
He's up there with Essa.
But the other guy that kind of goes understated here to me is Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere's got 7 points. out of all these guys. And that a lot of that probably has to do with the power play and being that guy. But he's a guy that can create a lot in the offensive zone for him.
So with all these losses, here's what the Hurricanes lineup looks like tonight. You might be surprised that we've gotten this far. We haven't even mentioned the big free agent signing of Nikolai Ehlers, but he is a huge offseason ad. There's Stankoven playing in the middle of the second line. And then you've got Nadeau, who's making his, believe it or not, season debut. He's played 3 career NHL games, but none this year. And on the back end, we'll get to that in a second. But when you look at that forward group, obviously they've got some big, dangerous guys. Ehlers, Aho, and Jarvis is where I circle the top 3 right now.
Well, the one thing about all those 3 top lines as you look, they're all in double-digit shots.
Yep.
With the exception of Stahl. Stahl's got 9, so he hasn't quite got there yet. But that's and just to compare that to Dallas, Dallas has 1 line that all 3 of those guys have double-digit shots. That's how they spend so much time in offensive zone. They've got these kind of guys. So I like these guys down the middle. I mean, Stank is going to bring energy. We know that. Aho. They got a couple other guys that aren't clicking, but the big one is Jarvis. Jarvis is on fire. He's going to when Stahl is gone, he could be their captain. That's
Very
what
easily.
I think.
Yep. Well, to switch to the D, they lost a couple of guys. Orloff is gone. Brent Burns is gone. And of course, the 3 injured guys. All of a sudden, usually Jalen Chatfield's in their third pairing.
Yeah, you kind of want to go, Nikishin, goal. So who are these guys?
You ready for this? So Nikishin.
There's not a better reason to want to spend time in their offensive zone. This is why.
Nikishin's played all the games this season because of the injuries, but those 7 games are his entire NHL career history. Nadeau, as I mentioned, the forward, making his season debut. Legault has played 2 career NHL games, and Nystrom made his debut on Thursday in Colorado. Tonight will be his second. Half of their blue line has a combined 10 career NHL games. And then you have a goalie in Brandon Bussi who's played 2 career NHL games. Now, he's 27, Luds. He's not the typical 21, 22-year-old rookie, but this guy's been around the AHL circuit for a while, and his path to starting tonight is probably a surprise to a lot of people, including him.
Yeah, well, here we've gone full circle. I mean, this is exactly why they play the way that they do. And this is exactly why Dallas has to play well in their own end to be able to exit their own end, not to spend time down there, but because of the youthful or the inexperienced players that they have in their lineup in the just complete game, but especially in the D zone when you got a couple of young defensemen like that. And you're at home, you got last change, and so you're able to get the Rantanens and the Robos and guys like that out there against that younger pair out there.
Now, if you look at the goalie matchup tonight, Jake Oettinger again starting his 7th start of the season. And, well, Jake is younger of the 2. Bussi, of course, is the much less experienced NHL goalie. Bussi's played for the Providence Bruins for parts of 4 seasons. Signed with Florida this year. We thought that he was, when he got placed on waivers, was going to end up in the Florida Panthers AHL system. But no, claimed off of waivers because of the injury to Kochetkov. And he's played twice already and gotten 2 wins in front of this very dynamic Hurricanes team. But look at the difference. He's played 2 career NHL games. Jake Oettinger, tonight will be his 258th regular season game, not counting all the playoff action he's been in as well.
You can imagine if they were, when you're worried about Kochetkov and when he's going to be back, because the guy that seems to get hurt the most
is Freddie Anderson.
Freddie
yes.
Anderson. So
when he's
healthy, be holding their breath.
He's quite good.
Yeah.
But his issue in the last few years has been health.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why. I think they only signed him to 1.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If Anderson is healthy, he could be a huge part of getting Carolina over that hump. They've had trouble with the Panthers over the last.
And you
couple
would think it would be a little bit easier on goaltenders, not as much time as in their own zone, and they spend a little more down there. And so, but Anderson's been a great goaltender.
Yes.
But again, it's just his health.
So the last thing I wanted to do was bring up Jamie Benn, because I got to thinking about him was we were talking about Matt Duchene being out of the lineup the other day, and the Stars haven't had their captain since preseason. And, it was this freak thing, the collapsed lung, scary. Thankfully, he's okay. Well, I asked a couple of people in the locker room about it, and they said that they really notice as much off the ice leads as on the ice that Jamie Benn hasn't been there.
Which is kind of disappointing, not there.
Well, he's more, and Gully will talk about it in a second. He's more there lately because remember, he was in the hospital for a few days. He had to stay off his feet. He wasn't like he could be around when he first was dealing with it.
Yeah, it's just like the timeline for me. I'm kind of waiting for something.
Well, you want to know something?
Give me something.
Jamie skated in pads yesterday for the first time.
You could have led with that today.
No,
that would have been a nice thing to lead with. Our captain is skated yesterday.
Jamie,
that's
for the first time, was on the ice yesterday by himself, but that's good news.
Yeah, and it's good news he's in pads.
And once
because
he's
not
starting
in
to do
sweats.
that, now it's the start of,
Yeah.
now you start to ramp up. But it's got to be a couple, 2 to 4 weeks before he's going to be ready
Yeah,
to
'cause
play.
he's got to kind of regroup and get back in shape, and then make sure he feels 100%, and especially up here, making sure you're good to go and don't have to worry about it. Then.
And I asked Gully about the impact of not having Ben, and he added Ben and Duchesne into the conversation.
Yeah, well, obviously you're missing your captain, you're missing one of your your best players, so that has an impact. Dutchie's out too, which hurts us. So you got 2 veteran guys that are out, so it kind of limits your depth a little bit, and it puts some pressure on other guys to step up, but it's opportunity too. But Jamie, obviously, you guys know he's a big rock in that room for us, so he's around more now, which is good. It's good for our group.
So there you go. He's around more now, but even talking to Jason Robertson this morning, he said in the entirety of his Dallas Stars career, he's never had a stretch like this where he hasn't seen Jamie Benn all the time.
Yeah, and like I said, he's your leader,
Yep.
and regardless of what people say and where he's at in his career, his voice is super important in that.
All right, there you have it. Half-hour pregame show in a flash. Hope it was as much entertainment for you as it was for us. We will be here with Sean for the postgame show. We'll check in with Sam from the AAC afterwards. And, of course, Luds and I will be here with Ryan with some, I'm sure, stunning breakdowns. So get ready. Victory Plus for the game, DLLS for the postgame show. See you afterwards.
I believe they are going to crush these guys.
We all silly like the mayor.